I have my car lifted on jack stands securely and safely, as you see here. The first step is to remove the lug nuts off of the wheel, and this would detach the wheel off of the drive axle. Once those are off, you can remove the wheel and roll it aside. The brake pads can be replaced once the top part of the caliper is moved out. There are two locking pins on the back of the caliper holding the top and the support caliper together. Loosen these bolts with the appropriate size socket. You can see me struggling a little bit because these lock pins are really tight. Once you loosen the bolt off with the wrench, you can unthread the bolt with your hand. Be sure to place the locking pins away to somewhere you could find it later. From there, you can remove the caliper top. Rather than leaving the caliper hanging on the brake hose, use a bungee cord to hold up the caliper and hang it up on something like the suspension. With the caliper top out of the way, wiggle out the brake pads until you could pop the pads out. Remove the brake pads on the back side the same way. So we have our old brake pads here. Taking them off was pretty tiring, so gotta take a break. These are the actual brake pads that I ordered off of the manufacturer's website. It's the brake pad kit that comes with the brake pads, brake pad shims, and the supporting clips. To assemble the brake pads, take the friction pad and apply brake lubricant to the back cover. Smother the lubricant evenly over the back side. Do this the same for the other brake pad. Attach the brake shim and apply more brake lubricant over the shim. Once you have the brake pads ready, replace the old supporting clips with the new supporting clips from the kit. Use a tool that has a nice grip to take these clips off. Make sure to align the grooves of the clip so it can snap into its proper position. Also, the clip should be seated well against the supporting caliper and should not be touching the rotor. Before reattaching the pads, it's nice to clean up the rotor with brake cleaner to remove rust and other gunk. Use a towel to clean off the brake cleaner. This way your new pads can press against a clean surface on the rotor while braking. With the rotor all cleaned up, press in the brake pads into the supporting clips, aligning the shape of the pads into the inward grooves. Then, before reattaching the caliper top over the brake pads, the piston inside the caliper needs to be pressed in to account for the extra friction material from the new pads. Pushing in the piston will push hydraulic fluid back to the master cylinder, and brake fluid may overflow. In case that happens, place some paper towels around the master cylinder, and that would prevent any brake fluid spills. To press in the piston, I used the old brake pad and a clamp. Afterwards, you could place back the brake caliper top over the brake pads and line up the back threads to the caliper support frame. Make sure the caliper top is snug. From here, reassemble the caliper housing by reattaching the lock pins on the back. I usually hand tighten these bolts and then use a wrench. Finally, use a torque wrench to torque the lock pins to the appropriate torque spec. Be sure to check the manufacturer specification for these bolts on your vehicle. Apply the torque wrench until it clicks and then you're good to go. Place the wheel back onto the drive axle and secure the wheel with the lug nuts and wheel lock. When tightening back the wheel, it's a good practice to go in a star pattern for an even placement. Then torque the wheels to the appropriate torque specification. Repeat this process for the other 3 wheels and you'll be all set with new brake pads on your car. I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to leave a comment or leave any questions below. Thanks.